Alright guys, and we're back for another round of podcasting. It is me, Deadpool Speaks, and
Movie Geek 98.
And we're here today on Movie Freaks and Geeks to go ahead and talk about that one movie. We've given you enough time to check it out. It is
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Volume 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to break this up into two parts. That way, anybody who's listening in, if you haven't seen it yet, first of all, shame on you.
You can't call yourself a Marvel fan if you haven't seen it yet.
Exactly. And the second part is going to be spoilerific. The first part is going to be spoiler-free. So, coming into this, I want you to know that the first part, and we will announce it when we're going to go into the spoiler stuff. But
we won't fool you.
Exactly. We're not going to drop anything beforehand, just so that way, in case you haven't seen it, you don't have to worry about being spoiled by anything. Even though the interwebs has done a pretty good job of spoiling
those UK people, the United Kingdom, it's like they get it a week before us and they unleash all the spoilers on us.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure one thing I like to do is try to give everybody a week. Usually to catch up before we go ahead and drop these reviews. The reason why is because we do want to talk about spoilers. We do want to talk about things that we found
interesting, funny.
Exactly.
Give us a little geeky side of things.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and start off right off the bat. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What did you think, Movie Geek?
I thought it was a pretty good Marvel movie. I mean, it's like, it's what do you expect? It's going to be fun. It's going to be action-packed. It's going to have its humor. It's going to have its moments where you kind of want to cry.
Exactly. And I think right from the beginning, I think right from the get-go, one thing that James Gunn does, and that's the director of the movie, and he does really well with these Guardian movies, and even before this, when he was working with Troma Films and stuff like that, one thing that he does really well is kind of set everything up for us, set the tone of the movie. And right away, it started off fantastic with a little musical intro. Now, James Gunn has been known to use music to manipulate emotions because he said that when he was younger, he actually suffered from depression and a lot of different things. And music was something that was very big to him.
And you can definitely tell, the intro song that they use kind of gave you that upbeat feeling that you're going to go into this big, happy... I don't know how well to put it. I bet James Gunn can put it better than me, but it's like...
Well, the thing is, you set yourself up for a feel-good movie, and now the best part about it is, when you look at the soundtrack to both Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2, you have a really good array of music from the past. It's not current hits. This is...
what I'm wondering? No. Since Peter Quill is so used to all these past music from the 60s and early 70s.
Yeah.
Imagine, because he probably has never heard a modern song by Nicki Minaj or anything. Imagine Infinity War, he comes in
and Iron Man here introduces him, because we all know that, and this is not a spoiler for anything. I mean, we all know eventually all these superheroes are going to collide.
Yes.
So, yeah, it would be really interesting to see, I think.
He's going to have that moment where he's just probably going to throw his headphones and be like, oh, what was that?
And the thing is, the way I see it, it's almost like him taking a step into the future. It's
kind of like Captain America.
Yeah, or if you remember Back to the Future, the movie, when Marty McFly goes into his father's room and plays Van Halen for him. And it just Eddie Van Halen scratching on the guitar and he thought it was mind melding music.
And also whenever they were when he was at the prom scene and he was playing, what was the song again?
Oh yeah, it was well, okay, so
having a brain fart. What was it?
No, it was Johnny Be Good.
Johnny Be Good. And everyone just looked at him like, dude, what?
Yeah,
what?
And it's funny because Chuck Berry made that song famous, and that's the whole thing with it there. Because what he did is he went ahead and made sure that they did that callback to him, because it was Chuck Berry's cousin who was in the dance, and he's like, oh, that you got that song, you've been looking for a new sound, listen to this, which is kind of like the whole spin on it. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, if you saw Volume 1, which I'm pretty sure, unless you've been living under a rock.
I mean, even people who weren't fans of Marvel movies seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that's kind of interesting about Guardians of the Galaxy as a whole, is like you don't necessarily need to know the other Marvel movies to go into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
It's because it's like, yeah, you'll have your Thanos and you'll have the Infinity Stones, but I think they explained it pretty well in Volume 1 for someone who is clueless to what's going on.
One of the great things about Volume 1 is that you meet the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Freaking fantastic job.
God.
And the thing is, he explains for everybody exactly what the Infinity Stones are.
Yeah.
I
believe that was our first true explanation to it as well, right?
Was.
Yeah.
So Guardians of the Galaxy really paved the way for an explanation for what you see in all the other movies.
And I feel like they were the first group of heroes that Marvel kind of tested out to the major audience, because if you think about it, beforehand you had your Iron Man, your Captain America, your Thor, these big players. Guardians of the Galaxy weren't really well known when...
They were not.
Yeah.
No.
They were the first ones. Then it was Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and all of them, but Guardians was basically the first ones that they tested out. Like, let's bring this group of heroes that a modern audience won't necessarily know, but the hardcore fans will be like, hell yeah, finally.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's great, is because Guardians of the Galaxy really stood out, and a lot of people were worried because of the fact that it was taking place in space. Very little of it is grounded on Earth, which
very little. Just the first one wasn't.
Well, the first one had the very beginning, which you're talking about a couple of minutes. But what we're saying is that all the other movies, even with Thor in Asgard and everything else, most of them had everything being Earth as the threat, being Earth as kind of the central location.
Some major city get destroyed.
Exactly. So
I don't even think did Guardians even have a. They didn't even battle out in the city in the first one. I think it was just like...
No. The only thing that they did was just introduce us to Peter Quill and his family.
No, I'm talking about the final battle, though. What was the final battle? It was like a dogfight or something.
No, the final battle was taking place on Novacor.
Okay.
So I mean, basically, there was no human presence there.
Yeah.
Everything was alien. And I think that's what they were kind of worried about, because of the fact that this was a really far stretch, a big suspension of disbelief for anybody coming into the comic book world. But it was highly, highly regarded and really well accepted because of the fact that I think James Gunn, coming from where he did as far as directing, even though it was an alien movie, it felt human to us. And I think that had a lot to do with Chris Pratt. I love Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, he's a up-and-coming actor. Like, I can see millions and millions of dollars with this guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Chris Pratt has always proved himself. And me personally, like I said, I have a man crush on Chris Pratt. Even when he was chubby Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec, just because I think he has the perfect face for a very lovable character. Even when he's serious, and when he plays dumb, his face plays dumb for him. So he has this great looking face that during the lineup of Volume 1, when they did the whole lineup, when he was playing with a machine and he flicked everybody off, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know how this worked." He acts like a child.
What a bunch of a-holes.
Yeah, he acts like a child, and it's perfect because in many ways he was. He was taken when he was very young. Raised by the Reavers, right?
Yeah.
And one of the cool things about Volume 2 is we get to explore the relationship between Yondu
and Chris Pratt, which
Michael Rooker
wasn't really explored that much in Volume 1. Yondu was basically like kind of a side villain, but then again, not really. He was just in there and.
Yeah, and in this movie, we explore the relationship between, Chris Pratt, in Starlord and his father Ego, which is played
by
wonderfully.
Pork Chop Express.
Yes,
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, man, and Kurt Russell. Let me tell you. And this is not in any way a spoiler, but you know how they use the CGI technology to make everybody look younger. They did it with
Captain
Iron Man.
America, yes.
They did it with Iron Man.
That was crazy. He looked like he came out of Weird Science.
Yep, and you know how they've been using this technology for a while. Ant-Man, they did it with
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. And this time they did it with Kurt Russell. And let me tell you,
Lord,
he looked fantastic.
That mullet.
he looked, and I wanted to say this. If you put an eye patch on him, he looked exactly like a Snake Plissken from
Escape from New York.
Escape from New York. And that's one thing that I absolutely love about this is that James Gunn puts so much great detail into his movies. And you can tell everything is set up in such a great way. And like I said, this is all part of the spoiler-free side. One
thing I like about James Gunn with this movie in Volume 2, this is spoiler-free. Did you notice everything had a purpose in the film?
Yes.
If you saw one thing, it's going to show up later on, or it's going to be a key thing later on. It's
exactly.
Like everything was there. There was no filler. It was all, okay, this was shown. It's going to come back later.
Everything has a purpose.
Yeah, everything had a purpose in the film.
Exactly. And I think that's another thing that made the film extremely enjoyable. So if you're used to, the Marvel movies and the way they're set up,
you're going to like it automatically.
Yeah, you're going to like it automatically. I think overall, seeing the dysfunction within any family, which this has, because remember, I mean, they're still a fairly new group. When we left them in Volume 1.
Yeah, it's like you saw the tension, all the heat from all the different group members.
Exactly.
And, some of them questioned each other and the ways and moral values and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool to see.
Exactly. And one thing, though, is that, and during the spoiler section, we'll talk about all the different cameos and stuff. Oof. But being able to see kind of how everything is piecing together, because this is another thing that I loved about Volume 2. Volume 2 is like that really good puzzle piece. When you're putting a puzzle together, and suddenly you put that one piece in, and everything starts coming together, and you're like, oh.
Oh, I see the bigger picture.
It's kind of like yes.
that Captain America Civil War, the little short that they had for Thor. When he was building that huge wall puzzle of everything connecting, Guardians of the Galaxy is that one piece that's going to make Thor go, oh my.
Exactly. And I think that's really important in the long run because, we dive into some of the stuff that they talked about in Volume 1. Not only that, but we explore new possibilities and where everything is going. I mean, we don't see a lot of future characters. Like I said, without giving much away, because remember, this is the spoiler free. But this movie does play a major role
in the Marvel universe. And it's kind of like you can't skip this film if you're doing a marathon. Thor: The Dark World, you can skip. You can skip it, but Guardians Volume 2, no, you kind of gotta watch this one.
Yeah, and you have to see that this is a quintessential part of the whole thing. And I mean, it's amazing. This is the 15th film in the Marvel universe so far that we've explored.
Imagine, we just started off with Iron Man, and we didn't know where that was going.
Exactly, and so that's the most amazing thing. And this has been more than 2 years in the works since Volume 1 came out. So Volume 2 was highly anticipated. And like I said, overall, the way they put this thing together has been really great. So if you haven't seen it yet, mark it in your calendars. You can actually take your mom to see this for Mother's Day.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
She'll
get a kick out of it.
Yeah, everybody will enjoy this movie. A lot of people have been saying, well, is this movie really for kids? Blah, blah. Let me tell you a couple things. Without getting into detail. It's questionable because you do see more gore on here than
technically, you don't see gore, but it's way grim.
No, you kind of do.
To an extent. It's like the Marvel PG-13 gore.
It's acceptable gore. But
it's no Loki taking someone's eye out in Avengers, which still, I think, in my opinion, is like the worst scene in the Marvel Cinematic Universe out of all the darker scenes. I did not like that at all.
And,
but it's not.
I know it's
questionable.
It's kind of hard to put it, but
into the spoiler section, we can put it in better words. But
okay.
It's.
Well, here's my thing. If your kid is about maybe 9 or 10, I think they can go see this and be comfortable with it. And considering all the violence that's on TV and stuff like that,
5 and younger will be the borderline.
I think so too. I think if they're 5, 6 and they haven't been exposed to a lot of the superhero violence, this may not be the movie to take them to. There is a lot of adult humor in there.
Of course, I think they almost slipped an F-bomb.
Yeah, there's
and I'm not talking about one line that you think.
No. And let me. And the thing is, the worst part about it is a lot of the bad words are usually dropped by the cutest character.
Oh yeah, that's true. There was a lot of bad words in this one.
Yeah.
A lot of shit bombs. I mean, Captain America would have been stamping his.
I know Captain America would have been.
Yes,
we would have had a big moment there. But it's Rocket that actually drops a lot of the bad words. A lot of the bad words.
And also, Chris Pratt dropped a.
Oh yeah, he dropped a couple.
A dick.
Yeah,
he called him a dickweed.
But I mean, we've seen that in Volume 1. In Volume 1, he
true,
said, "You got my dick message." Remember?
Yeah.
So there's those things to be looking out for. And like I said, there is some sex talk in there and stuff like that. So
I wonder how Disney fit that in there.
Well,
I think which scene I'm talking about. It's in the.
Well, let me look. We're not, like I said.
Yeah, we can't spoil it. It's so hard to not.
But like I said, it is PG-13 for a reason. It's
pushing the PG-13 boundaries.
Yeah, it's
which I think is good because it's like most PG-13 movies nowadays. When you watch it, it's really...
well, you know what? I think that they wanted to push the PG-13 envelope because of the fact that. A lot of the fans, and a lot of comic book fans, are of the older generation.
Yeah.
We're getting into the late 20s, early 30s. And because of that, they want to make sure that they create an environment that's perfect for everybody. I mean, yes, a lot of the toys and merchandise is pushed for little kids and stuff like that, which is great.
And Disney XD has the Guardians show.
Exactly.
So it's like these little kids have been exposed to Guardians.
Yeah, but I mean, this is just a little hard, a little more hardcore than what they're used to, But
I would say maybe it's like a 5-year-old playing a rated T game. I don't know how to explain it. It's like
and like I said, I mean, overall, if you're gonna, if you take your mom, let's say
it's not a bad family film. Don't get me wrong.
It isn't, and I mean, like I said, I mean, it's got the adult humor, it's got everything, so it's got a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yes.
So if you're gonna make your Mother's Day plans to go ahead and see this, do because. I think it's a great movie. It's about 2 hours and about 15 minutes.
Yes.
So be prepared for that if you have little ones with you.
But it's going to go by so quick.
It is.
It felt like it went by in like that. The snap of the fingers.
And I mean, I have a 9-year-old, 10-year-old son, which they sat through it the whole time, didn't complain, didn't get up once. Of course, we had a big thing of popcorn with us, so
always.
Always. So be sure to get in on those reward points for any movie theaters that you go to because
the dancing guy, please, the dancing guy. If you ever gone to a Grand Theater movie, theater before, you'll know what promotion we're talking about.
Oh, that guy's awful. He's got awful teeth. Okay, here now. Yeah. So. Overall, I tip my hat to James Gunn. He did an amazing job. Just the whole cast in general, just an amazing job. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you... Well, yeah, I know Movie Geek doesn't like to rate anything.
No.
But I personally...
say it's a movie ticket. It's definitely a movie ticket.
Yeah, it's definitely... Yeah, so I believe so also. Definitely go check this out in the movie theaters if you can.
IMAX 3D.
IMAX 3D because
this movie, like unlike most Marvel movies, will feel like that doesn't necessarily need the 3D. Like I'll say Doctor Strange was a 3D movie.
Doctor Strange was definitely a 3D movie.
But like something like the Avengers or Ant-Man, those are not really 3D movies. This one is a 3D movie. You can tell that they had little effects and pop out moments.
Even the first kind of sequence in there was perfect 3D moments.
Yeah, and the bubbles and everything. Yes,
trust me, it'll be a lot more enjoyable, especially if you're taking little ones with them that enjoy the IMAX 3D experience. It's going to be really good. And, with that, it's definitely worth a movie ticket. So, guys, go ahead and check that out. Now, we're jumping into...
Ooh, it's opened up the floodgates.
Okay, so
it's
now...
spoiler talk.
Spoiler talk.
So if you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, leave this right now.
I want you to go pause it, go see it, come back, and
pause
unpause it.
Yes.
Unpause it. So that way we can go ahead and talk, because let me tell you something. There's a lot to talk about.
Goodness gracious.
All right.
Okay, where do you want to start off at from the beginning? Taserface!
Okay, no, we're going to leave Taserface for a little bit later. So let's start off with the whole opening sequence. This is what I talked about as
okay,
far as
so maybe we should do opening sequence and just continue building up
almost
with
in
the
order.
movie.
Okay,
yeah.
so overall, like that whole opening sequence with...
Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah.
By what's the name of the band? It's like Electro
something or other.
Something.
Well,
doing quick research. Continue talking.
Okay. Well, overall, what I thought.
Electric Light Orchestra.
There you go.
The one who did Strange Magic. That's the one song I can remember by them.
Yes. So we've definitely heard the song a million times before in different movies and how it's used, but seeing Baby Groot dancing through this alien attack was absolutely amazing. The best way that James Gunn could have set up, the whole opening and feel for the movie.
And what I like about that song, I don't know if you read this article, but James Gunn said it himself that he personally wanted Mr. Blue Sky to play because it was like such a happy tone song, but at the same time, if you look at the lyrics, it's a little dark.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think the last time we saw this song make such a huge impact, if I remember correctly, I think it was Trainspotting that had this song in there.
Maybe.
But I mean, here's the thing. One thing that I love about it is, the lyrics are dark,
but it's such a happy song.
And it's such a happy-go-lucky song.
And it kind of sets up this movie because it's such a happy movie, but then again, it has its moments where it's like,
really dark
goodness.
Undertones. Yeah, exactly.
Where is this going? Which we're gonna get into later.
But I mean, it's a perfect setup because, and here's the way that song tied into that scene, because you have Baby Groot and he's dancing around, and you have in the background, underlying
this huge battle scene.
Exactly, where everyone's getting hurt, being
Chris Pratt gets thrown into like a wall, and he's like, you see him getting up, struggling. He's like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's being their pain and all the suffering and all this craziness is being, basically dumbed down by Groot's dancing. Because they're like, oh, this is cute, we're laughing, but in the background it's just sheer madness.
Yeah, it's like, oh my lord. Freaking Drax the Destroyer jumping into it. I'm gonna get it from the inside!
Yes. And so, and at that point, it was because, Drax basically crushes and lands on the speakers and destroys the music. So then that's when we kind of jump into the action. This is where we were talking about the whole 3D effect. Because being able to see this monster in 3D is just fantastic because his tentacles come out right into the movie screen. I mean, I could see at least 4 or 5 moments within this movie, Volume 2, that can be rides for Disney.
Exactly, which there is going to be a ride for it. California Adventure. They you heard about it, right? That they're rebranding their version of the Tower of Terror into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
Which, it's very strange that they picked Tower of Terror out of all things, but still, it's Disney. I don't know.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Overall, I think that right away we actually we get to meet the Sovereign, which play a huge role. And the thing is, the whole reason why they're there battling this monster is to protect these batteries. And these batteries
played such a crucial role.
Very crucial role in the whole film. And the thing is, you don't really know it until like the very end. And it's just a simple thing with the batteries, and this creates the whole tension between Quill and Rocket.
Yeah, and before we get to that battery part, the whole awkward sex talk with
which happened afterwards. That happened afterwards, but it was
did
great.
It?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, they were battling this creature. They kill it.
Yeah.
And then they meet with the Sovereign Council, and
I can't even pronounce her name. It was like Elisha.
It was Aisha.
Aisha,
and she's like the head of the council, and they were talking about how they reproduce, they kind of build their babies out of DNA and pods and stuff like that.
The perfect human. Or perfect alien, whatever they were.
Exactly.
Because all they were perfection. I mean, they were painted gold.
Which is kind of funny because throughout the whole film, we see this perfect sovereign society constantly being destroyed while they're trying to fight remotely, like a video game, with their fighters are constantly
That was so funny. I know James Gunn was probably behind that choice. He was like, let's make their fight.
Well, because
it seemed like video game
arcades. The best part, and this is, I gotta hand it to James Gunn. I gotta hand it to the writers. The best part overall that I think that we had going for us, right? The most funniest part in my mind was the fact that they were trying to go ahead and kill these people as they were getting away, and that goes back to the batteries that they stole and everything else. But they had this whole fleet with them, and they were trying to go through and maneuver through this asteroid field. And they had one guy, one guy who had job. He was awesome. He was like the best one. Everybody was gathered around him, watching him take on this group, and they were about to destroy him. And all his friends, and it reminded me of like an arcade scene, when the guy's just fighting and everybody's around him. Yeah, you got this. And then he loses, and everybody's like, you suck. And it's like
they walk away.
Exactly.
His self-esteem went from 100 to 0.
And the funny part is that everybody that was around him died first, but yet they tell him that he sucks. They didn't last that long. It's like, but that was.
Oh my god! And then while that was happening, you had freaking Drax hanging out of the ship, smashing all these trees.
And I gotta hand it to Dave Bautista.
He was so funny.
He was amazingly funny.
Him and Rocket, I felt like were major comedy reliefs in this movie.
Oh yeah,
which is coming a lot because Drax looks like this big, scary, intimidating guy, but in reality, he is so.
And and the thing is, you know what? I think they showed us another side to Drax in this, and it was Drax's relationship with Mantis. Which
you're so ugly.
Yeah,
but you're beautiful on the inside.
Yes. Okay. So, one thing that I personally loved was the fact that we explored more of Drax's backstory.
Yeah, he kind of, laid out some of his backstory when he was getting all personal with Mantis.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. I think this is really important for his character because. When we were first introduced to him, we got to see the whole quote unquote literal side of Drax. That nothing they don't understand sarcasm and they don't understand metaphors and being figurative.
And this guy craves revenge on Thanos.
Exactly. After he got his
Thanos, Ronan.
No, he said Ronan was a puppet and he wants to go after Thanos. But I think that. Seeing that he has developed friends, quote unquote, a family now, he's able to kind of let down his guard a little bit more around them, which creates humorous
moments with him and Rocket. It was like, what did Rocket tell Peter? It was like, you being such a douche, you're gonna find something in your pillow, and it's Drax's turn. He's like, my turn's so humongous.
Yeah, I am notorious for having tremendous turds. It was hilarious, and like I said, they're back and forth, and they're bickering like family, because that's what they do. They bicker like family.
Yes.
And once again, we get to see the whole Nebula, Gamora,
relationship build a little bit more, and you kind of see more of like a human side of Nebula, and why she's
so angry,
detests Gamora so much.
And, and the thing is, I think this was more about rivalries than anything else. I think this was more about understanding as far as the family goes.
I felt like this movie was a lot to do with family and learning about these characters.
Yeah, because, so, for example, let's break it down. So you have Peter Quill, you have Starlord.
Who is still, like, in the beginning, he's still kind of...
He's trying to find his father. He's got a father figure, and he's got his father. And like I said, we'll dive into that relationship in a second.
Well, that's a lot to dive into.
Yeah, I know. We have Gamora, right, who's still kind of struggling with her issues
with Nebula, and also she kind of butts heads with Peter as well.
Yes. And I mean, that's kind of building on the whole kind of love relationship that they have between each other, which was started in Volume 1. And then you have Drax. And Drax, it's his relationship of dealing with a family and dealing with outsiders coming into the family.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Rocket, who feels like he wants to push away the family.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to. He feels like everybody he gets committed to is out to hurt him or do something towards him.
Yeah, so he's gonna act like
fight
a douche.
First.
Yes.
Exactly. So we have that built up, and then you have Baby Groot, who's there in the middle of all these.
Baby Groot's like an actual baby. He doesn't understand what is going on.
Exactly, and his lack of understanding in this movie plays one key humorous role.
Yes.
Which actually I think Funko Pop does is doing like a special edition with a Reaver medal and stuff like that. And we'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that. So
and then you have Yondu, who's also kind of trying to find his purpose, but then again, it's like.
Well, we learned a lot about Yondu,
and Yondu gets a lot of shit in the beginning.
And I think that my respect goes out to Michael Rooker for doing such an amazing job. And the thing is,
the guy always knocks it out of the park.
He does everything that he does.
Look at The Walking Dead, the seasons that I actually watched. Season 3, when he had that relationship with Daryl, and at the very end was freaking heartbreaking.
And not only that, but I think that it shows his range as an actor, because a lot of people know him for his recent stuff. But if you look at his history.
Mallrats. Kevin Smith.
Henry, look at the movie he started off with, becoming, he was a serial killer. I mean, but if you look at his other films, if you look at JFK,
Slither.
If you look at all his other stuff, you see what a versatile actor he is. And here, playing Yondu, it starts off as like you kind of want to hate him, and you don't understand his whole purpose. And let me tell you, if there was ever a "no, you're crying" moment in this movie, it was because of Yondu.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and kind of look into the Peter Quill, Ego, Yondu relationship. Because
goodness, I love Kurt Russell, man. I mean, one of my favorite cult classic movies, and this is Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes.
Yes.
And the most amazing thing about...
and every time I saw Ego, I just thought of Jack.
Yeah. You know what Jack Burton, your old buddy Jack Burton used to say?
Pork Chop Express!
So, he comes in on this full force.
He's not just someone that they paid for because he's a big name. No, he has a major key role in this movie.
And not only that, but the best part about him, and in my opinion, is the way he embodies the character. I think that Ego, and it's all there in the name, is...
He has an ego.
He has an ego.
And what's so great also is, I guess spoiler section,
so
he's the villain of the movie. And I feel like he's probably one of the better Marvel villains we have gotten. Because, to be honest, if you look back on Marvel's track record, you can't name out a whole bunch of villains. I mean, who's the villain of Thor: The Dark World again? The Mandarin! No, I'm just kidding. I am the Mandarin!
Well, that would be
Iron Man 3.
That would be Iron Man 3. No,
Jesus
Lord. Was that... Okay, so it was that dark elf guy, but here's the thing. Whenever you look at a villain has a purpose, right? And the best part of having a good villain is having the good villain that doesn't know he's a villain.
That's true, but I feel like I couldn't really understand Ego's purpose of being a villain, because it's like, he wants to take over the world. Yeah, he wants to kill all these people.
Well,
but then again, didn't he say he didn't want to be alone?
Well, that's the whole thing. You see, a really good villain doesn't understand that he is a villain.
Yeah.
You see, in his eyes, what he was doing is he was creating this neural network. He was basically reaching out, and this is where that whole sex talk comes in, because he was talking about...
That scene was weird.
He
I
was
don't know
talking about how
about you,
he,
but I felt uncomfortable watching that scene, showing all the past people he messed around with, that man whore.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was pretty
it's
much
like,
the slut of the galaxy.
Did you notice there was this one alien that was literally sucking his head?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell, Marvel?
And the good thing was, though, they did this in such a way that was like kind of like an animated
Yeah,
CG
it was like
thing.
the animated doll of him looked like David Hasselhoff.
And which we see in the movie, which is
As
freaking
well.
fantastic.
And he has his own song at the end too.
Exactly. So, which is fantastic because it's the Hoff.
It's the Hoff.
But you know, like I said, the one thing about Kurt Russell is that he wanted to, you know, plant these little pieces of him everywhere he went, and that's what he did in order to
find the
unify.
Perfect celestial. Is that what you call it? Celestial human being like him.
Yeah, to go ahead and power this, because that's why he was having so many offspring. Because, and I mean, in reality, like I said, the whole thing with, you know, a real good villain does not know he's a villain. And this is how we know that he doesn't know.
He doesn't understand what he's doing.
Exactly. He in many ways, because he talked about how he came into existence, how he started off as a brain, how he became to look more human because he wanted to fit in, and then how he was lonely. So basically, he was being destructive, and he was trying to procreate, because if you look at, like, the animal world, right, we're going to go ahead and kind of get this into, like, you know, National Geographic type shit. But here's the thing. Animals, the male species has been known to kind of try to find as many mates as possible to go ahead and produce offspring, right?
Yeah.
Which is what he was trying to do. He was trying to produce offspring to help him, you know, kind of create this neural kind of, you know, universe where everything is connected. So he wouldn't feel as alone. And the thing is, he became so involved and so in love with Peter's mom.
He put a tumor in her head.
He put a tumor in her head.
The one,
he's like,
because I knew from the beginning he was probably going to be the villain.
Yeah.
Not including UK spoiling the movie, but I mean, it's like, you can't hate Kurt Russell.
Well,
but that was the moment where you hated Kurt Russell. He's like, and it was so, like, vague too. It's like, he's talking about this major plan, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, by the way, I put a tumor in your mom's head.
Yeah, and the thing is, his explanation for it, the best part about it is his explanation for it was, you know, I loved your mom so much that I had to put this tumor in her head, because if I would have gone back one more time, I would have stayed. So basically, he's like that character from the Bugs Bunny cartoons. He's like, I love this rabbit, and I'm going to stroke it and pat it and squeeze it. And the thing is, he's squeezing it
Mice and Men.
He's squeezing it so hard. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, Mice and Men.
Of Mice and Men. And he's squeezing it so hard that he kills it. You know, but he doesn't realize that what he's doing
was wrong.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying that Kurt Russell's, you know, portrayal of Ego is just so fantastic, because he was so kind of finesse, you know, Fabio hair in the wind, beautiful type of thing.
He was like a perfect human being. He was the father Peter Quill imagined. Which, one thing I loved, speaking about that relationship, was, did you notice he said a line, I think it was to Gamora, he was like, I wished I played ball with my father. Later on in the movie, where Kurt Russell was teaching Peter about his celestial powers, he forms a little ball, and they start playing ball together. That's why I'm coming back with James Gunn, connecting every little thing.
And what's funny is that Yondu...
Oh, yeah, he makes a joke about it later.
He makes a joke about it later, because here's the thing. Now we're going to jump into his relationship with Yondu. Okay, so Yondu... now, we all know from the first movie that he kept him, and he says... You know, it's like, I kept you every day from eating you and doing all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's like, he was threatening to eat me if I didn't do what he said.
So here's the thing.
And Yondu joked about it. He's like, oh, I just wanted to scare you.
Yeah, and Yondu was like the father that...
He was the daddy.
He was the dad. He was
like, yeah, that might be your father, but I'm your daddy.
I'm your daddy. And the whole reason why is because he took care of him. And the thing is, at first, you may think, well, you know, there's no way that Yondu was this kind of father figure that took care of him, but what he actually kept him from was a fate worse than death.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah.
Going in, he mentioned it. He's like, I knew he was killing all these.
Well, he knew
kids.
later. He was collecting all these kids for ego. He didn't know what was happening, and then he found out, and that's why he kept Peter, because he was like, well, he could fit into small spaces. He could help us steal stuff, but in reality, it was his soft side.
Yeah, which played a key role in the first half of the movie with him and the Ravengers, which I don't know when we're gonna go into that part.
Well, he broke code. And
you broke the code.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. I am the law. No, but
I am the code.
Yeah, he was a leader. He basically called out Yondu, and in a really sad moment, he basically
he just basically told Yondu a new one,
and he extradited him. He's basically, you no longer exist for us. You will not have Ravager's funeral. Flags will not fly when you die. And the thing is, this is really, really good foreshadowing. Things that we didn't know later. And this is the whole thing about James Gunn kind of connecting everything. And a lot of people really didn't know this, but a lot of the Ravagers who come later on and make the cameo appearances, like Ving Rhames, like this lady from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, stuff like that, they formed the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which, shall we talk about now about that? What I think about it?
Yeah, let's jump on it while we're on it. So,
what I feel like it was, did you notice that they gave so much light on the Ravengers compared to the first movie? It's like we got to know more about their code. We got to know who they were, what they are, what was their purpose.
Pretty much space pirates.
Yeah, space pirates. So, which begs the question to me, there was a mid-credit scene out of all the 5 of them where they introduce, what was Sylvester Stallone's character? Was it Scott? He was a comic character. Stakar. It's him with the original Guardians member, and he goes, let's go steal some shit. So that makes me wonder, is there going to be a spin-off with these characters?
And they've discussed it, and there's a possibility that we might see
Sylvester Stallone is such a big name, but then again, he's not in his prime.
Well,
I don't want to call him old.
It doesn't matter that I don't think that Sylvester Stallone has lost any shine. I think he did a really good job in this movie. I really liked him, and like I said,
for the moments we've had him, because he wasn't that much in it.
No, I mean, I think in total he had maybe about 5-6 minutes at the most of screen time, but it doesn't matter because his character made such an impact. And like a lot of people probably didn't know who he was at first, and a lot of people will probably have to kind of figure it out later.
Yeah.
But for all you comic book fans, you knew exactly who the hell he was. You knew exactly what was kind of leading up to that. So that's one of the things that I think is so important, and being able to see that and kind of moving into the fact that there may be a spinoff from that. What I did want to say is that. And like I said, since this is a spoiler section, one of the things that we do see is Yondu die. And he dies a brilliant death because here's the thing. Between, Peter Quill's kind of battle between his father, the celestial father that he never had who wanted to be in his life and only really use him.
He didn't realize till the very end that Yondu was like his true father.
Was his true father.
And I think it was in that moment where I think Peter had like all those flashbacks.
Yes.
And you saw a little quick flash of Yondu teaching a young Peter, I forgot it was maybe...
Yeah, how to shoot.
How to shoot or something.
Yeah, so basically all the experiences that he was looking for in his dad, and this is my whole grass is greener philosophy, and some people who know me kind of heard me talk about this, that, with social media and stuff like that, a lot of things that we see is, like, when we see a lot of people's Facebook or stuff like that, we always see, oh man, this person has such an amazingly sweet life. Look at how awesome this. I want this. I wish my thing could have been like this.
But we don't realize that we have...
What we do, that we have to be grateful for what we have.
Yeah, which I feel like that was one of the morals of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is like, look at Peter. It's like he finally found the father he thought he always wanted, but in reality, his real, like, the father
that he had
was right in front of him the whole time.
In front of him. And the thing is, I think that's so important because Whenever Yondu threatened him, yeah, he saw eventually that they were all empty threats. And that is actually the downfall of Yondu because of the fact that the Ravagers, they picked up on this eventually, and they saw that, wow, you're being really easy on this
Peter Quill.
On Peter Quill. What
what about us? Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes from being, hey, you're playing a father figure to being a boss. I think that's something that it shows, and he'd rather put himself on the line and kind of knock himself down than to, get in the way of his son's, rise to fortune and stuff and all the other stuff. I think that's why a lot of scenes from Volume 1, after you see Volume 2, a lot of scenes from Volume 1 will make sense.
Yes.
The whole thing with the ball, when he says not to open it, and he opens it up, and he has a little troll doll inside, which that troll doll wound up going on his console, and then it was part of his funeral later on.
Yeah, burned with him.
Exactly. So, that's one thing about Yondu that I loved. I think that he was... even though he seems like this mean, villainish kind of trash, he really is a caring father.
Yeah.
And he really showed it because he sacrificed his own life for Peter's. Which is like the ultimate sacrifice.
Definitely. I mean, that scene was...
It was tear-jerking. Yes. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house, man.
Who knows? But it's kind of like... I don't know how best to explain it. It's like... This whole time it's like Yondu posed as such this like evil person, but in reality he's just like this big caring blue guy.
Yeah, he is. And the thing is, I think that was great because he had to show this front. He had to put this whole thing forward.
For his team.
For his team. And
which later backstabbed the crap out of him.
Yeah, which sucks because the thing is, you get to see the downfall of Yondu. I mean, this movie... Yeah,
it's like...
it says Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but
this feels like a Yondu movie.
Yeah, it's like...
You saw his character arc. You saw him try
It sucks to be Yondu Volume 2. That's what it was. And that's the thing. We see him get shot in the head. So
then he gets
the cool mohawk.
Taken over by Taserface.
Yeah, he gets...
Which, honestly, God, I hated...
Taserface.
I hated that whole group that betrayed him because they were total dicks to him.
Oh yeah, and even Sean Gunn, who's James Gunn's brother, who plays his second in command. He's by accident he kind of started the revolution.
Yes,
and he regretted it later. But he has kind of like a fulfilling moment where it's kind of his retribution call. And I think overall, and I'll be 100% honest with you, the way they built it up, the way they kind of formed it, and it's kind of let's see who you can trust type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing is that they killed most of his crew that was loyal to him.
Yeah, here comes the dark aspect that we were talking about in the spoiler free. I mean, that whole... I'll not say just the scene alone, but everything they did with the Ravengers was really dark. From Yondu committing genocide to his former crew,
which they deserved, I think.
Yes, which they deserved. But also seeing Taserface shooting all the members who were like on Yondu's side into space and watching them all die.
That's the worst.
That was like whoa, yeah, Marvel.
Because the Scottish dude, man. I don't remember his name, but the Scottish dude, the last one that we saw die.
Yeah.
We saw his whole death.
Yeah, it's like he was screaming out to Yondu, but Yondu couldn't do anything.
Yeah, and you could see a broken man. I mean, not only was he like shot and the mohawk was damaged and everything, but he was a broken man because there was nothing he could do for those that he cared about. And I think that was a really key moment in the film because, yes, we have this exploration of family, like I said. Mm-hmm. And you see all the different elements of family. From Yondu and his work family to, Peter and his father and Peter and his adoptive father. And
Nebula and Gamora. So, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them now because it was really interesting to
and I mean, fans of the comic will know Nebula's backstory. And we were kind of introduced to it in Volume 1, how, he was... but we explore it more in Volume 2, how she was put to battle Gamora all the time through Thanos. That's his sick, twisted way of kind of doing these things. And every time she would lose, he would replace
a limb
or a piece of her with
robotic parts.
Exactly, to make her more suitable to fight her. Basically, trying to perfect her. And since her body is not perfect, he would replace it, which that goes a lot to say for society with plastic surgery and everything else. It's kind of like James Gunn poking the finger there and saying, "Hey, look, this is how we work."
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. But one thing that I really enjoyed was that emotional breakdown moment and being able to see Nebula really go batshit crazy.
Shit, that moment when she was just trying to kill Gamora any way possible.
And she freaking ran a spaceship into the side of a mountain, shooting, screaming. I mean, this is batshit crazy.
Afterwards, she continued.
Yes. And then the fact that the Gamora picked up the weapon off her ship that was broken to shoot at her, just to show how batshit crazy they both were to kill each other.
And then Gamora saves her life.
Yes.
And she still fucking tries to kill her.
Yeah, I know, that's the best part. And I think this is the perfect thing with sibling rivalry. And the whole thing, remember how we're talking about family. This whole movie is about the dysfunction of family. So being able to see them kind of work together in a sense where Nebula was like, all I wanted to do was just kind of like be your...
Have a sister.
I just wanted to have a sister. That's all I wanted to do.
And all you were competitive.
Exactly. So I think that was brilliant. I think that... And it took 2 movies, because we've seen them battle so many times.
Yes.
That
it's kind of like the... how would I compare it? Like the Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon
feud.
Feud.
Yes.
Seen them battle for over a year.
And in batshit crazy situations in a hospital. And all sorts of different things. That's the thing. I think their relationship was a lot like that. And then we're going to toss Rocket in there, because here's the thing with Rocket. I think since Rocket comes from where he was...
A lab. It was a lab.
And he has this whole thing with family where he doesn't feel like he belongs. He has to try to find structure for himself. And he's finding it in the weirdest places. And I think he found it more with Yondu than anything else.
Yeah, out of everyone who broke Rocket, it was Yondu.
And it's
Which
funny.
was interesting, because I feel like Yondu is kind of at that same level with Rocket.
Yeah.
That, like, they don't have no one... Everyone looks at them, down, and they're not really great human beings.
Said it. He said it. He says, you are me, boy.
Yeah.
He said it, and he's like, I know exactly what you're going through, because, he puts this front, and he puts the front, I guess it's kind of like a protective front, so,
sidetracking from that moment to... the whole Yondu and Rocket, before we go off anything else. My favorite...
And no, we're going to get to that now. All right, so you said that you wanted to talk about something special, and this is like a perfect point. We could go ahead and kind of jump into it.
Because we're talking about the whole relationship that Yondu and Rocket had at a moment, which comes in with one of my favorite scenes of the movie. You said your favorite scene already. Mine was the scene where they were trying to get to Ego, and Rocket hits the button. And he goes, we're going to jump ship, and we're going to not jump ship, we're going to jump...
The portals.
We're going to jump the portals. And Yondu goes, are you crazy? We can only take, 15 at a time?
It was 15, and he was going to do, 170 or something?
No, it was 700. We're about to do 700. And it was like their faces became... the Snapchat filters gone wrong.
Yes. It was great. I thought that was so fantastic.
I died laughing in the theater when that moment happened. And then when they finally made it to Ego and they stopped, freaking Baby Groot...
he freaking barfs.
He pukes everywhere.
It was funny because
he doesn't acknowledge it. He's just like...
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, the only thing we've ever seen Groot eat was himself. Remember? So and I think that was hilarious. And I love it.
That was like my favorite scene in the whole movie. That killed me.
And the best part about it is during that scene, they showed that scene, like I think it was 3 cutaways.
I believe so.
So
then they come in not in the first moment when they started doing the jumps, but when they
the second
went
time
back
they come
to
in,
it. Yeah, you see the Stan Lee cameo.
Which the whole thing about Stan Lee being a Watcher, the whole fan theory about him, being a Watcher there. And it's funny because Stan Lee gets 2 cameos in the movie. And in the first one, we see him there with the Watchers, which he's telling the story.
And he makes a nod. If you notice, he says, I worked with that time I worked with the Postal Service, I think he said, right?
Yeah, which...
That's a nod to Fantastic Four, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the funny thing, because throughout all his cameos, in order to tie it in, because remember when he made his first cameos, he was in the Spider-Man films when it was still with Sony.
I think it was Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and
he was the guy who I think reacted to like Green Goblin's explosion.
Yeah, he was like trying to hold back a kid or something.
I think that was the second one.
Was it?
I'm not sure.
I think it was the first one.
I think it was, maybe.
So here's Stan Lee in a spacesuit, right?
Talking to all these Watchers.
Sharing this story,
and a fun fact about that, I read an article the other day that Fox and Marvel are sharing the rights
to the
Watchers.
Yes,
which I found kind of interesting. So I'm like, oh, so I'm guessing.
They're gonna go ahead and tie it in somewhere in the universe, So this is interesting news.
Yeah, because now I'm guessing maybe Marvel and Fox are coming to agreements.
Yeah, because
I think they have before. Because if you know, Fox originally owned the rights to Ego.
Yeah.
And what happened was, James Gunn didn't know that at the time when he wrote it, and he's like, I already wrote this perfect script that I can't change it. We need Ego. And I forgot what was the settlement. I think they traded a character for Ego.
I think what's happening here is that Fox is wising up and
bringing.
Well, they're seeing what the Marvel universe is doing, and they understand through so many failures that
Oof.
Yeah. Well,
I mean the X-Men movies are not bad, but it's like the other ones.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, they realized that a lot of the properties that they owned. They didn't handle the way that Marvel can handle films, and
yes.
I think it's because the same way I feel about Stephen King properties, and I've talked about this before, that Stephen King writes great books, but when you leave it in the hand of somebody who's not experienced, you have issues with getting the story across, and that's one thing. I think that overall, Fox is doing the right thing, teaming up with Marvel and kind of saying, hey, listen, we're going to work because it's a win-win for both.
Exactly. Which is why I don't understand why most of these companies won't team up. Like, I can understand the X-Men because they're like, it's a successful franchise. That will sell.
It is.
So I'm not complaining on the X-Men side, but I'm talking about maybe Fantastic Four. We've seen who else?
We've seen 3 iterations, and yes, I will include the Roger Corman version.
Failure that never got released.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
Who else is out there that Marvel hasn't gotten under their belt yet?
Ghost Rider.
No, they already got Ghost Rider. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He already made his appearance.
Okay.
So they got Ghost Rider. They got Daredevil. They got Punisher. Who else is missing?
Well, we'd have to look into that.
Blade.
Well, Blade is Blade's a big character.
Blade, I think, is still with Fox.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, we're going to go ahead and see how that will pan out, and I'm pretty sure it's going to pan out great because, remember, we're coming into the end of Phase 2, right? Aren't we?
No, we're in Phase 3. What are you talking about?
We're in Phase 3.
It started with Civil War.
Civil War, correct.
Civil War began Phase 3.
Which, if you look at the way that Marvel has a history, because we know there's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
James Gunn already confirmed that he will come back for it.
And that's the thing. I think that we're going to see the Marvel Universe expand in a large way. Now,
You know what's one sidetracking from the Guardians talk? Well, it kind of ties it in because Guardians explores the outer galaxies of
Yes.
Marvel.
yes,
And Stan Lee kind of opened that door with his cameo. I would like to see if they're going to bring in X-Men. Possibility. Let's throw this on the table. If they're going to bring in X-Men, if they're going to bring in Fantastic Four and stuff like that, the way I would love to see it happen is not reboot them, but what if introduce alternate universes? Because Marvel is no...
yeah, well,
they're not shy with alternate universes like DC is.
yeah.
I mean, you know, they have done it before, and I would love to see maybe, I don't know, this is my fanboy dream, maybe have like a Spider-Man movie with Tobey and Andrew, bring them all in, bring everyone in.
Well, you know, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would like to see that. It's just, you know, what would be strange would be, you know, kind of...
Seeing them all together.
Well, and there's time, you know, I mean, there's time to think about the whole factor that, you know, Tobey Maguire is not as young as he used to be and stuff like that, so...
And same with Garfield. His time has passed with Spider-Man, but imagine having that alternate timeline.
It would be really cool. And, I mean, it was just announced recently that, you know, Tom, you know, who's playing this iteration of Spider-Man, would like to see in the next Spider-Man him take on, like, someone like Mysterio, which we've been...
What I'm curious about, since we're going into a quick Spider-Man talk, sorry to interrupt, but it's like, you're going to have that Venom movie.
Yeah.
How is that going to play out?
Well,
I mean, it's already been confirmed that it's not going to be a Marvel Universe connected movie, which I don't understand why.
I don't know why either.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think they're going to take the Eddie Brock character and kind of do a solo run with him and maybe not kind of...
Maybe because it's... I know it can't be because of the rating, because they're pushing that hard R.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring the newer Venom in, right?
The what was it? The military, you know, soldier.
Yeah, that
Venom,
one.
which is my least favorite Venom. I didn't like that Venom.
And you know what? Pretty much what it is, it's Punisher with the symbiotic suit on. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. But we're kind of veering away.
But what's funny is because then Venom joined Guardians of the Galaxy as that idiot incarnation. You know, bringing back to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, he joined them at one point.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it could, interestingly enough, it could actually go ahead and kind of open the door to some really cool stuff. I'm not going to leave it out there, but I mean, that's news for a whole other podcast.
There's so many possibilities with the Marvel Universe.
Exactly. Now, the one family thing that we haven't talked about was about Drax and his relationship with Mantis. Which I think it does play an important role because of the fact that, well, Mantis was kind of like a pawn for Ego. Mantis...
she was just being used to have Ego sleep. Because Ego couldn't sleep at night.
Because of all this stuff and all the things running around in his brain. So she was pretty much like medicine, but... I think one of the most amazing things that she does is she brings Drax kind of not I can't say Drax's human side because he doesn't have a human side, but
he's an alien.
But his emotional side, we're actually able to see that when he reminisces about his family and the whole swimming hole situation, and she touches him.
Yeah, what I love is Drax didn't really show emotion, but it went to her,
and we got to see that through her.
Yeah.
Which I mean...
It was so smart because it's like it kept that badassness of
Yes, he
Drax.
Didn't have to break the character at all in order to kind of show us the kind of pain he went through with his own family, which I think is something that the only time we got to see Drax in full rage mode was when he was drunk.
In the first one.
In the first one, where...
That was such a funny scene in the first one.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite scenes from the first one.
You know... And
what was it? Rocket screams, he called me a squirrel.
He called me vermin!
He called me a vermin!
and, you know, and that's the thing. I think that we weren't privy to that side because I don't think, as a soldier, as kind of like this warrior, as this badass... You know, Drax is not going to show that kind of emotion. He won't.
Yeah.
Now, when he was drunk, he showed rage, which made perfect sense for him, you know? But we got to witness that side of him through Mantis. And then we got to see some sort of connection there with Mantis and Drax, which leads to some other funny moments. The whole, she's really ugly and she's like a pet, and her,
My lord, I don't know how Mantis can still hang out with him. If a girl ever told me that, I would never want to be around her again.
She is so broken as a woman, She
the
has to stay
scene
with...
when she woke up Drax, and what was it? Drax was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do this with you," because he thought she was like gonna have sex with him or something. It was something like that. And he's like, he imagined it. He's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just picturing me and you together. I'm like, ow.
Yeah, I know. He was totally brutal with her. I mean, throughout the whole thing, and that led to one of the funniest jokes, in my opinion, when he was with her, and he's like, you're beautiful, and then he pauses and then he's like, on the inside,
you're ugly on the outside,
and that was hilarious. I love the fact that we had that, and like I said,
that's gonna be a future like mainstream meme. You're gonna see it everywhere.
Yeah, because I'm calling it. It's so great, and so let's talk about some of the cameos that we see. So we talked about
Sylvester
Stallone. We saw Ving Rhames, which is really cool. I don't know if you know this, but Miley Cyrus is also in there.
I didn't spot her.
Yeah, no, because you couldn't spot her. She was the voice, that robotic voice in the whole.
Please tell me she wasn't a robotic hooker.
No. She was.
Yeah, it's like. That was weird too.
That whole hooker world kind of thing.
Yeah, the hookers everywhere, and they were all like robotic, and they shut themselves off. And it's like, Disney, now you have hookers in your movies.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show that in the future there will be. Well, they're already like big life size sex dolls. So now apparently they're cybernetic sex dolls, which is the future looks bright.
And then I think the biggest cameo out of all of them was the Hoff.
Well, yeah, not only Hoff, but remember when we were talking about the super planet, we saw Howard the Duck there.
Oh yeah, as well. I completely forgot about that.
Howard the Duck.
He was in there for like that moment.
And he had actually a line, once you go duck, you never go back. And it was great. And then Hasselhoff.
Is it sad that I would kind of like to see a Marvel Universe, like, I don't know, spin-off, not movie, but like a mini TV show or something of Howard the Duck?
I don't think I don't know how well a TV show would do, but I would watch a Howard the Duck movie.
Come on, let's not do it again.
Okay, but here's the thing: it wasn't done right the first time. The only thing that they kept right about Howard the Duck, it was his overdrawn sex drive, which
duck titties.
Yeah, the duck titties. Who could forget that? But
from the mind of George Lucas.
Yeah, I know, right? So here's the thing: whenever you look at like some of the people who made it, like I said, David Hasselhoff, which is great because that whole spawned from Chris Pratt's imagination of what he thought a perfect father would be.
Which came back to James Gunn connecting everything. He's like, I always told my friends that my father was David Hasselhoff and he was just out there shooting Knight Rider. Yeah, and then later he comes in. What was it? Peter like shot Ego.
Yeah.
When he mentioned he put the tumor in the mother, and then he like respawned into Hasselhoff. And he was like, "Wasn't this your perfect father?"
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, because remember when Ego was kind of going through there, he described himself as the whole planet. I mean, that was...
Yeah, and you actually saw the whole planet, which surprised me. I was like,
well, that's
going to pull it off?
That's the thing. They were showing it there as, and that's why he went to play ball, because it shows that he's got ears everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like he understands your every emotion because he's connected in some way. Seth Green was the voice of the Howard the Duck, which was
not surprising. I mean, it's Seth Green. He will do something like that.
Yeah. So we saw Cosmo again, the dog, which and that's the thing.
He was in the ending credits.
Yes.
When I think they showed like a picture of him or something.
Well, and then we saw
Jeff Goldblum
dancing in that one, which we're gonna see in Thor Ragnarok.
Excuse me, are there Guardians in your Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
Yes.
I love Jeff Goldblum. I can't. This is the first time I'm actually excited for a Thor movie, just because Jeff Goldblum's in it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing with Thor Ragnarok. This is a great storyline. We're gonna see the meshing, and we're gonna find out where Hulk has been.
Yeah, we're gonna discover Hulk's little, temper tantrum away where he's been.
Exactly. So, this is like I said, this is gonna go ahead and set up. There's so many cool things that happen in Guardians of the Galaxy. You have to go see this. And like I said, let's see here, because we're kind of looking through our notes, kind of seeing. You see, it said Miley Cyrus is just, and that's the thing. Her voice was so kind of played with and robotic. Not a lot of people would pick up on that.
I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah,
that's a Blu-ray watch to try to find it.
And like I said, overall, I think that the movie was great. I really enjoyed it.
We forgot one more cameo, Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, oh my god, that was great. That was
it's like first it played off with Chris Pratt. He goes like, once I discover how to control my body, there's gonna be some weird shit in this planet.
And he calls it that. He's got some weird shit. Expect a what is it? A big old statue of what did he say? Like Pac-Man. I think he mentioned one more.
He mentions Skeletor.
Oh, Skeletor and Pac-Man.
And he mentioned a third one, but I can't remember it.
Yeah, but him actually turning into Pac-Man was
it's
freaking
the final
awesome.
battle. Because let's talk about that, the whole final battle as a whole, when it's like basically the Guardians of the Galaxy were fighting a planet.
Yes.
Which I found it really suitable for this movie because I feel like since they fought this planet, they're now ready to go up against Thanos because it's like they fought a freaking planet. I mean, they boost up their scale, yeah.
Yeah, well, like Rocket says, now we could charge a whole bunch more because we were Guardians of the Galaxy twice.
Yeah, we saved the Galaxy twice.
the Galaxy twice.
I mean, the first one, it's like Ronan. Yeah, it was Ronan. He was one of Thanos'.
Yeah, but it was Ronan with an Infinity Stone.
That's true.
So give him a little bit more credit. It was Ronan with an Infinity Stone.
You know what I'm wondering now since we brought up the Infinity Stone? Do they have it? Did they have it?
They gave it to the Nova Corps.
And
the Nova Corps put it away.
Right, that's right.
So that was...
Yeah, that's what I was wondering because in this movie you don't hear Infinity Stones mentioned. You hear Thanos' name dropped once, and that was from Nebula. Like we barely heard anything from what's going on from that main Marvel storyline of the Infinity Gems.
Yeah, well, I think because we really needed to kind of explore everything where we left off with Volume 2 more than anything else. I don't think that we needed to as much as expand on the universe as we needed to kind of give them more of a story.
Yeah, learn about these characters more.
Exactly. So, and another thing I want everyone to kind of keep in mind is that when you go see a lot of these movies, I mean, there's reasons why it's called, Thor or, Iron Man, Ant-Man, because, it's going to be a story about them. I mean, yeah, they're going to try to interlock, but like in Ant-Man...
Yeah, we got the story of Scott Lang.
Yeah,
and his redemption.
And the only kind of little drops that we got there were some Spider-Man references and stuff like that.
The one that opened the floodgates.
But let me tell you something. To see them all in Civil War
was awesome.
Because
now imagine Infinity War. Because we're finally going to have Guardians come in, which I believe this movie kind of tied in how they might be introduced into Infinity War because you had Ego... when he was attacking and he was revealing his master plan, it went to Earth.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people notice this. And if you're going to watch this or if you're going to watch it again, check this out. At the scene where they were, Ego was, all the seeds were exploding and it was covering the Earth. I don't know if you noticed, but Peter Quill's grandfather, right?
Yeah, was in the scene.
Was in the car. You remember how there was like
they got stopped or something? It's like they almost got annihilated.
Yeah.
God, I feel sorry for everyone in that Dairy Queen.
Yeah, that was such a great Dairy Queen. Home of the Blizzard.
It's referring back to May the 4th be with you. It was probably a Monday.
Yeah.
They were having a bad Monday.
They were having a Monday. But a lot of people probably didn't notice that kind of it was a really cool tie-in.
James Gunn tying everything
in, and he went ahead and put Peter's grandfather in there being almost crushed by Ego. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's like maybe because Agents of Shield always connects the movies and themselves in some way. Maybe that's how they're gonna connect it. Maybe, maybe Iron Man will make a mention in Infinity War. I don't know, but I feel like that scene alone is what's gonna probably bring Guardians.
Well, let's say this. Let's say this, okay? We know that this world is building. We know that we've gotten this far, and we know by recent news reports that one thing that they are going to do is they're going to start tying in the TV shows with the movies, which is fantastic. This is basically a dream for me, a geekasm for every comic book nerd out there.
We're going to see Danny Rand versus Tony Stark, the Battle of the Billionaires. Let's go.
And I mean, we're going to the Defenders is already putting together the TV kind of Marvel world, which is awesome.
And then you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I wonder how everyone's reaction in the Avengers is going to be. Coulson, hey, you're back alive. You're the reason why we technically got back together in the first place.
Well, and I think that was important. I think, and I mean, what is it? Samuel L. Jackson was like, they needed a reason. They come back together. They needed that push. So looking at all this, looking at the Marvel Universe and how it's connecting together, I think we're in for a hell of a ride. I think that we're going to see some really cool shit coming pretty soon.
Well, I wouldn't say pretty soon because I can't imagine Infinity War being this big one for the television. Like, I can see Guardians, I can see Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, all of them coming together, but I think the television characters are probably going to be in the next one.
Well, we're going to see, because here's the thing. My thoughts are this. Thanos is a big character.
Of course. I mean, this guy is no one you want to mess with.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think that Thanos is a huge threat. I think they're going to go ahead and face him. And we need to see Thanos' badassery. No, we need to see his badassery.
No, not Thanos' death, but we need to see death in general.
Yes.
To the Marvel characters.
And
it's like...
I think the first one we're going to lose is Captain America. We already
kind of... Oh, wow, really?
I'm
throwing my cards on Tony Stark.
No, I think Tony's needs to be around. I think Captain America...
The reason why?
Why?
I'm going to say Tony Stark is I feel like we've seen a perfect character arc for Tony. It's like we saw him be this asshole in Iron Man 1. And then he becomes a superhero, but still he had that asshole in him at the very end. He's like, yeah, I'm Iron Man.
Well, he's never going to stop being
Yeah, he's not going to be an asshole because that's what I'm going to be like in Civil War. He was an asshole as well. But in like Avengers and stuff like that, you saw more of a human, not human, but like more...
It was a better side of Tony.
Yeah, a more passionate side of Tony. And then in Civil War, now you're going to see like you saw a broken Tony at the end. So I feel like in Homecoming, he's gonna try to.
Well, I think he's gonna be the father figure.
Yeah, the father figure
for Spider-Man, for Peter. But what I honestly think is that we're gonna see Captain America die, which is gonna go ahead and kind of unite everybody together.
Well, how about kill both?
Well,
imagine that would be big.
That would be big because
kill off two of like the big players.
In the comic book world, it's really easy.
Yeah, in the comic book world,
to kill somebody and then bring them back.
But that's because it's a comic book world.
Exactly.
Now we're talking about everyone because everyone goes see the Marvel movie. If you say you have not seen one Marvel movie, you're a liar.
Yeah,
because you have seen one.
You've seen at least one, and so
if you're gonna kill off a big character on the main screen. Imagine the general audience's reaction.
But here are my thoughts, right? So they're going to do Thanos and everything else, and then hopefully around that time they've come to an agreement with, after the whole battle with Thanos and everything else, what are you going to do with these characters? My thoughts go to the Eater of Worlds. Galactus. I would love
that would be a perfect, next villain because it's like Thanos is like the appetizer and then you have the actual eater of freaking worlds. Bring in Silver Surfer. Bring in everyone. My God, this
do
is
the Fantastic Four right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you could even do if you wanted to do the Fantastic Four. Remember that Spider-Man was part of the Fantastic Four.
You're right.
After the death of the Human Torch. Johnny Blaze, when he died in that alternate dimension, basically they brought in Spider-Man to kind of fill in the gaps. But, like I said, they got a long-term plan. I'm hoping that the Eater of Worlds is going to be somewhere in there.
Now, here's my question to you, since we'll mention long-term plans. If, by any chance, they can't get the rights to Galactus, who do you think could be the next big villain?
Geez, that's really hard, because...
One idea I have.
All right.
And that's because we don't know where the hell he is. He's already been established, but he's off in some alternate world.
Red Skull.
Red Skull.
Yeah.
Where is he at? And imagine he's not a Thanos. Don't get me wrong, but he's a big villain.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he was brilliant. I mean, the guy's a genius. Next to Doctor Doom, he's up there, and that's the thing. He's already been introduced. We just need to see.
And now that he got teleported into that dimension and being in there for this long, imagine all the knowledge and power he might have.
Exactly. So it would be really interesting to kind of see him come back.
Yeah.
And
fight some Bucky Barnes.
Yeah, we have to kind of keep an ear out for that. So, guys, overall, this has been our Guardians of the Galaxy in full, thorough, spoiler-free and spoilerific review. I hope you guys liked it. We're clocking in at almost an hour and 30 minutes of just pure talk. But, guys, let us know, comments below. We want to hear from you. Remember, we always want to know what you thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, and who knows, one day, you can leave suggestions on what your thoughts on the Marvel Universe, and maybe we can come back to the universe one day and just talk about our thoughts on the future plans of the universe.
Exactly.
Maybe before Homecoming, we can just basically
hash it out.
Yeah, look at all these movies and think, okay, what is Marvel going to do next?
Exactly, and if there's any movies out there that you want us to review, anything that you want to talk about, let us know, man. And remember, as always, you can find us on our website, www.moviesfreaksandgeeks.com, on Facebook at Movies, Freaks, and Geeks. Also, on Twitter, we're on Freaks and Geeks. On Instagram, MovieGeek_98. Go ahead and check us out there. But yeah, definitely let us know, because there's a lot of things that we want to go ahead and talk to you about. There's a lot of things that we want to go ahead and do. Remember that we're in Patreon now. We got a couple supporters, and we're going to be talking about American Gods pretty soon on Patreon. Which, if you haven't seen that series, is absolutely amazing. Neil Gaiman from the Sandman, writer of the Sandman. This was his novel that was turned into a TV show for Starz. It's already in the second episode. Give it a shout out. Go ahead, and if you become part of the Patreon subscribers, we do have a copy of the book that we're giving out to our Patreons that are allowed for us, and
we're working on exclusive content. I don't know if I've mentioned to you, so this will be a first time to you. I'm working on a bunch of topics, because originally on Movie Geek 98 I was going to have all these weekly topics. Maybe we can bring into podcasts like a wrestling fantasy warfare. I'll bring in two wrestlers from two different eras or two different companies we might never see battle, and just talk to see who would win. And another one would be the tie-in with Spider-Man Homecoming, because this is something Midnight Society, which is basically going to be more of that creepy deep web discussion, kind of talking about all the spooky side of the movie cinema kind of thing, lost media and stuff like that. And I have a perfect one for Spider-Man Homecoming when that comes up. We're going to have I don't know if we planned it out yet, but a Spider-Man week, to build up to Spider-Man Homecoming. And on Patreon, we can have a Midnight Society dedicated to Spider-Man. I don't want to give away what the topic is going to be, but it's going to be related to Spider-Man, and it's going to be... It's nothing for the little listeners. This is pretty dark adult stuff, man. And darker than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
There you go. And that's one thing that we want you to remind you of. Patreon, our pledges start as little as $1, go up to $10. And what your $10 pledge gets you, just in case you don't know, what your $10 pledge gets you is we're going to be doing once a month. We're going to be doing live, podcasts with people in the movie industry. which a lot of people are friends from conventions and things like that
Mm-hmm.
that are going to be talking about their films. They're going to be talking about how to get films done and some of the cool film aspects that they like.
Yes.
So basically, that's a huge plus. And then we have limited numbers of people that we can squeeze into this. So if you want to be a $10 pledge member, go ahead and kind of sign up for that.
Yeah, we'll make sure those $10 are
going to be well worth it, because I mean, you're talking about $10 is about the price of like an extra large Happy, or not a Happy Meal, but like a #1 at McDonald's.
And the WWE Network.
Yeah, the WWE Network, $9.99 a month, right?
Now we might not have classic content, but we will be bringing a lot of content.
Exactly, and it's going to be one-on-one content, so that way you know that you're getting your money's worth. So, guys, check us out at patreon.com/movie freaks and geeks. And as always, reach out to us. We love to talk to you. We love to talk to our fans. We like to talk to our listeners. If you're listening on SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever podcasts are, remember to go ahead and kind of drop us some discussion. Let us know. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, because under YouTube, if you research Movie Freaks and Geeks, we'll pop right up.
Yes.
You'll be able to listen it there, build up your playlist. And, other than that, guys, thank you so much for listening in. I am Deadpool Speaks.
I'm Movie Geek 98.
And if there is a trailer, if there's something out there that absolutely looks good, if you've heard of something, if you've heard a rumor, then you know what? Just watch it.
And remember to always stay gold.